I want to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Akim and the Four Winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, the elect. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold. Shalom to the sisters, the Akwathium, listening and learning under their husband in meekness and in silence. Shalom. This is your brother Ram Yahawada with the lesson. And hallelujah. Without further ado, Esau is basically on trial. These last 10, 15 years since the 07 or something like that, 07 or 08, when Ray Millstone got on YouTube, and even like the elder always say, some of the other camps too, he gives them credit because they were out there, they're pushing that vibration. And so since then, since that vibration has been pushed out, that the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian of Indian Negro descent are the Israelites, Esau's been on trial. And I had seen this. This is from 2 years ago. It's a C-SPAN. And I was watching this. And, oh, man, it's hilarious. I don't know if you've seen it before because it's 2 years ago. So some brothers might have seen it. Some brothers may not have. But I thought it was hilarious because Esau's on trial. So he's looking for anybody to put on trial. For anybody to, and then, he has a secret, or he has agendas behind everything too, because this is a so-called Reverend Al Sharpton, right? And he's done a lot of so-called things for so-called black people or black culture, and maybe they were trying to see if they would get a rise out of this by putting them on trial, and maybe you have a bunch of so-called black people, void of light people, going out there to protest, and so they can, they can have by reason, they could bring in, the martial law troops, or they can bring in some type of thing which they're, they're trying to do now, which they're gonna do real soon. They're gonna bring in, come in like a flood, so. Come down with great wrath, knowing that they got but a short time, and then you can see in this. So, without further ado, I'm gonna try to just put some key points because this thing is type long. Let me see what it is. Yeah, it's like 22 minutes, which is kind of long. I'm not trying to be all like that. So let's just go ahead and do a little piece.
Sixth Congress that Joe Scarborough filed House Concurrent Resolution 270 entitled Condemning the Racist and Anti-Semitic Views of the Reverend Al Sharpton. Mr. Scarborough's resolution began by saying, whereas the Reverend Al Sharpton has...
See, and then the first thing they did went into the anti-Semitic thing. First thing off top, anti-Semitic. When there's a lot of Shummetic people, or if you want to go, there were a lot of races or a lot of nationalities that come out of Shem or Shum, however you want to say it.
It's referred to members of the Jewish faith as blood-sucking Jews and Jew bastards. So my question to you is, does Mr. Scarborough's assertion that you said these things, is that true, or did you not say those things?
They are patently untrue. I never said that.
Okay.
Can I finish my answer?
No, it's actually my time, but you will be able to...
Well, I thought you raised the question.
So the next question
Can I
relates
answer
to Mr. Scarborough's
the question?
second comment. It says, whereas the Reverend...
Since aspersions were cast on the witness will be permitted.
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Aspersions weren't cast. I asked the witness...
You asked, was it true that I said that?
I can't reclaim my time, Mr. Chairman?
Witness, you will have your time. The witness will be permitted to answer.
You asked me, was that true? And the answer is no, that was not true. And as you know, Mr. Scarborough and I work very closely together. He comes to National Action Network conventions. I think he's a great guy, and we do each other's shows often.
Mr. Scarborough also said,
excuse me, the gentleman the timekeeper will add 30 seconds to Mr. Gates' time.
Thank you,
And,
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, parliamentary inquiry.
The gentleman will state his parliamentary inquiry.
Is it appropriate for a member of the body to personally attack a witness before the body? Or shall I say, can a congressman's words be taken down in the event that he casts aspersions on a witness?
We ask everyone to adhere to rules of decorum. The gentleman will proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Joe Scarborough then wrote, whereas the Reverend Al Sharpton has referred to members of the Jewish faith as white interlopers and diamond merchants. Have you ever referred to members of the Jewish faith as white interlopers or diamond merchants?
No, sir. I referred to one in Harlem, an individual who I didn't even know was Jewish, as an interloper, and said I should never refer to his race. I said that I was against those that were using apartheid diamonds. And when I did a funeral in Crown Heights in '91, because we were boycotting Oppenheimer and those that were selling diamonds from apartheid South Africa. In the same sermon, I'm trying to now finish my answer, sir. Am I allowed to finish my answer?
I'm allowed to reclaim my time.
You asked a question and I'm answering.
Yeah, I got a few more.
And I have a few more answers.
I can't wait.
Well, apparently you do because you don't want me to answer.
No, I want to.
So since you raised it, let me finish.
And I
also talked about people
questions.
snatching pocketbooks that are in the. I'm not filibustering anything. I'm answering your question.
Everyone will suspend, please.
Mr. Chairman, a parliamentary inquiry.
Everyone will suspend.
Parliamentary inquiry.
Gentlelady will state a parliamentary inquiry.
It will be in the form of an inquiry statement. Is it appropriate for a member to do a constant tirade of attacking the witness and then not allowing the witness to answer?
That is not, my personal opinion is that it's not proper, but that is not a proper parliamentary inquiry.
That's a statement to the gentleman.
Gentleman controls the time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Scarborough continued, whereas the Reverend Al Sharpton led a protest in the Crown Heights neighborhood and marched next to a protester with a sign that read, "The white man is the devil." Did you march next to a sign that said?
I have no recollection of that. I've marched in many things where there were signs that I did or did not agree with.
Scarborough
and I would say that if
which everyone can agree with that. Even white people say white people are the devil. So
if I was aware of that, I would have said that I would not want to have that sign.
Witness and not just have him continue to.
Well, then you shouldn't ask me a question if you don't want an answer.
I want to know if you said them. You can say yes or no.
No, I cannot answer, Mr. Chairman, on yes or no when he's asking me whether or not.
The witness is obviously disrupting the committee.
The witness, first of all, this has nothing to do with policing. Since he wants to make the subject Joe Scarborough and I, then let me answer it. It had nothing last I know, Joe Scarborough nor I are members of the police department or has anything to do with excessive force. But I'm loving to engage this if he lets me finish.
What is outrageous is a matter of opinion. The gentleman controls the time.
Mr. Chairman, I asked that the minute be restored.
The gentleman controls the time.
So you're not going to restore my time?
No.
Joe Scarborough continues, the Reverend Al Sharpton's fierce demagoguery incited violence, riots, and murder in the Crown Heights section of Brooklyn. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
As a matter of fact, the New York State did a extensive study on the Crown.
So yeah, see what they're doing. They're setting the stage. No, hey, you was inciting violence. They're basically going after Trump, basically for that exciting violence, right? So yeah, matter of fact. They just raided Trump. Supposed to be trying to get some type of documents or something that had to do, and they're trying to basically link him up with the whole, the rest of them Edomites that went down to the Capitol. You know what I mean? So they're trying to do something because they could see that Trump has a very great chance of actually winning. So they're trying to derail him the best way they can, and they're trying to link everybody up to, which is going to set the stage for martial law.
That's right. Said I was not even there until after there was death of Yanko Roosevelt. I was not even called by the family until the day after.
Thank you, Mr.
We had
Sharpton.
nothing to do with it. When I came to Crown Heights, I led the first nonviolent march there.
Are you really? All right, fine. Mr. Sharpton.
And then the guy's not really trying to even listen to him. He said, no. Instead, I led a nonviolent march. So anybody rioting, it had nothing to do with me. But he's really, truly not even really paying attention. But I believe this thing's like a bigger thing to see if how many black people or void-alike people will get behind him, since he so-called went out there. It wasn't at every beck and call, because from what I hear, they say he will not come unless you pay him to come. And then he'll kick up some type of dust for you after he gets paid. But, let me put another clip. I'm going to go to the next guy.
Specifically verbatim from a document filed in the congressional records as a resolution.
The gentleman from Florida may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have you ever referred to African Americans who disagree with you as yellow and then the N-word?
I don't know that I've referred to people as names. I don't know if it's because they disagree with me, but I have said things about blacks and whites. I'm glad you made it clear that I don't only attack whites. Thank you for that.
Have you ever said that? Have you ever referred to African Americans who disagree with you as Negro militants?
I didn't know that was a derogatory statement.
I didn't say it was. Just asked if you used it.
I don't know. I don't recall.
Have you ever said, if the Jews want to get it on, tell them to pin their yarmulkes back and come over to my house?
No, there was a man named Mordecai Levy who had been charged with some terrorist acts who threatened to march on me and several others.
How dare they call itself Mordecai, right? After, what's that? Haman hated Mordecai and wanted to set him up and kill all the Jews. But then this devil got nerves to name his name Mordecai,
Activist in New Jersey, and he said he was going to come deal with my hairstyle. And I'm referring to his hairstyle. I said for him to pin it and come on. I was not talking about all Jews.
Well, you
no.
said those words.
No, I said about Mordecai Levy.
Have you said, I'm in hell already, I'm in Israel?
Yeah, because I had been threatened that if I came over to deal with... First of all, I believe that you can deal with the decorum of the Congress, but you cannot disrespect a witness. You cannot ask a question and tell the witness he can't answer the question.
He's permitted to answer a question.
You're welcome to answer. How about?
Well, then let me answer, sir.
Okay.
Let me answer, because I'm enjoying this. I think that you have.
You're at a committee about policing.
Don't get upset. Calm down. You're yelling. Calm down. I think that I'm trying to answer your last question.
Gentlemen will be permitted. The time of the gentleman has expired. The witness may answer the question.
The one about offing the pigs. Answer that one.
The witness may answer the question. The time of the gentleman has expired. The witness may answer the question.
The question that he raised, what I was saying was clearly that I have disagreed with blacks and whites. I've used language graphically sometimes to do so, some of which I've grown beyond, but none of which shows anything other than I am an equal opportunity attacker. And I'm glad that Joe Scarborough and I both are equal opportunity attackers that now work together.
Mr. Chairman, I ask to be recognized for unanimous consent request.
The gentleman will be stated his unanimous consent request.
Mr. Chairman, I seek unanimous consent to introduce the Scarborough resolution as part of the committee's permanent record.
I object. Who's next? The gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion.
Now the gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
I thank the gentleman for yielding, and I was reviewing your prior answer, Reverend Sharpton. You are cited in a Washington Examiner piece, July 30th, 2019, as having said, if the Jews want to get it on, tell them to pin their yarmulkes back and come over to my house. And in your response to my question, you said you were just referring to one person. So here is my very limited question for you, Reverend. Were you misquoted in this story when you say the Jews and them, referring to a plural group of people rather than one person you seem to have a grievance with?
As you can see, Esau is the one who's on trial, but they're trying to put this guy on trial, and then they're trying to, basically, if they're doing it to him, they're definitely going to do it to us. It's basically what we're looking at. So we're going to be looking at a time where they're going to be trying to so-called build a case against us. You know what I mean? This is just the beginning, brothers. Right?
Am I allowed to answer? My name is Sharpton, not Lewandowski. I will answer the question if I'm allowed.
Please. We know your name, sir. Go ahead and answer.
And you then know that I'm going to answer. I was referring to an incident and a threat to come to my home by Mordecai Levy and to the homes of, I believe, Reverend Daughtry and others. How the Examiner, I think you said, or someone else wrote, I'm not looking at it, so I do not know whether they misquoted me or not. I do know what I said and who I was referring to.
Well, did you say them?
I just said that I'm not looking at the statement. I do not. You're talking about a situation that happened in 1991. If I said them, the, or those, I don't know. I know the incident and I know what I was referring to. And a man threatening to come to our home who had that kind of criminal record. And I had two young children, I think under 5 years old.
Thank you. I appreciate the answer.
Again, I'm not Lewandowski. Let me talk. I'll talk. I'll testify before this committee.
So is it your belief that
if I said them or not, would that help or hurt excessive force of policing?
Well, I think it's pretty significant when someone wants to come and preach to us.
Mr. Chairman, point of parliamentary inquiry.
Mr. Chairman, point of parliamentary inquiry. Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Someone else did first. The gentleman will state his point of
I don't believe you talk about the people that come before you.
The gentleman will suspend. The gentleman will state his point of parliamentary inquiry.
Mr. Chairman, when a witness is...
Statements including me. I also think that to distort... I think that also to distort...
Have you made big...
You can ask all the questions you want, but I'm going to answer the question.
Will the gentleman yield?
When you call Greek homos, when you talk about white crackers, those are bigoted statements.
I think I made it clear that I was quoting what somebody said. Yelling and getting upset is beneath your office. You should calm down.
And the gentleman will state his point of order.
Hey, he's so mad. Did you make statements about the Greek homos? That's as if this is not the Roman Greco Empire, man. Yeah, so Esau's showing, because if you're not Greek, why do you care? You know what I'm saying? If you're not a so-called, Mo, why do you care? But hey, this is that filthy the filthy conversation of the wicked, man. This is that land, that place, man. So this is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except, right? Because the day of, because the disciples who later became apostles asked Yahushua, when is the kingdom going to be given to Israel? And so he's basically, in this thing, is basically kind of reiterating that. It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, the day of Israel ruling shall not come, except there be a falling away first, right? And that man of sin be revealed. And ultimately that's where we're at right now, because what? Esau is showing himself. That's why he's on stage getting mad about saying, is it not so-called slander? You know, basically putting, which I think it's all, you know, I think it's all theatrics, basically. You know, I don't think, I think it's just to see if it caused some friction. It was 2 years ago, so nothing really happened. So, you know, of course they had to go to the next phase, which is CV19. Now this so-called you know, jungle bumps. You know, so in that, it's like basically saying like you're blaspheming against the Holy One of the world, which is Esau Edom. That's basically what he's saying. You're that's like blasphemy. Are you speaking against this? Are you saying this, and that? I mean, for a place that's known for rape, rob, murder, and racism, to get up there and be like, "Hey, aren't you racism? Don't you say bigoted statements? Haven't you said something against the LGBT community? Haven't you did this, and that?" When you can go back to Esau's history, all he ever did was speak against the LGBT community. All he ever did was speak against other races and all sorts of stuff. But somehow they got this guy on trial. Basically, when Esau's the one who's really on trial, right? And that son of perdition has to be revealed, right? 1 and 20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem, right, which are you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, it was then, right, at the time was what Judah, Benjamin, and Levi that were there when the time of the Lord was there, right? But it's also talking about what? This time now. So you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians are Jerusalem, right? And it says, because that's going to happen again, because Esau is going to have great wrath knowing that he have but a short time. So that's why I'm saying they're building a stage for basically loss of your so-called rights, which you never really had. But they're gonna do things by way of having reason to show you that they have the power to revoke your so-called rights. And then a lot of people are going to actually beg for it. You know, they're going to love it because they think that it's the right thing to do. So it's going to go and Jerusalem is compassed with armies, right? And that's what's coming, armies. Then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Who the desolation, abomination that's spoken of by Daniel, right? They're gonna drop the temple again, right? So now that's the second time the temple is destroyed, right? And Israel is kicked. Well, Judah, Benjamin, Levi is kicked out of the land, which is Israel. It says, then let them which are in Judea, right, flee into the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them which are in the countries enter into, right? Because Israel was scattered. And then 3 times a year, those scattered Israelites who were in different countries, speaking different languages, going back into what the the Jews who knew that they were Jews, who maybe spoke Greek or spoke Latin, right? But knew that they were Jews, and then you got the Jews, the Israelite Gentiles or the Israelite foreigners, or how would you say it? Israelites who phenotype may look like another nation, or Israelites who have the phenotype of an Israelite but didn't know that they were Israelites, right? You had those, right? And they were trying to enter back into what the Commonwealth, understanding that they're the Israelites, right? Understanding that it's profitable, right, to keep the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And it says, for these be the days of vengeance, right, of Esau. It's the vengeance of Esau. That all things which are written may be fulfilled. Talking about 70 AD had to happen. Then of course, Esau going into the basically to the Caucasus Mountains from Mount Seir, into what basically ruling over those nations as Rome, right? Falling as Rome, rising back up as the Roman Greco Empire, which is what NATO, EU, and America, through by way of what Spain, of Cristobal Colon, right, coming into the so-called New World, right, enslaving and putting Gad, the Northern Kingdom, on slave ships and bringing them to here, which is fulfilling Deuteronomy 28, and then taking Judah, Benjamin, and Levi from Europe, because we were ruled in Europe for 1,000 years, and Africa, shipping us to America, which is fulfilling Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Also, right? So both Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom, and then when the what is it called, the Wall Street, what they call Wall Street now, is they actually built a wall going down the street, and this is where they separated the so-called different people into where they were going to go be delivered on ship, right? And they had the so-called Northern Kingdom, or Gad, along with them, with the Southern Kingdom. So it also says you should be oppressed together in the scriptures, right? So this is that being until it become a falling away first, that all things must be for what? Be fulfilled, man. Basically, this is how we know that these people are the Edomites, right? Because the guy at the end spoke about you're slandering when you said Greek, basically, alphabet people. Is that not this and that? Which there was no such thing as that at that time, but we know what it is now. Like, the alphabet people, right? So, and he took Agag, the king of what? The Amalekites. The Amalekites goes into the people of, right? Because you got the what is it? The Israelites. You got the Hamites. You know what I mean? And you just kind of add the "ite" thing to it, basically saying the people of, right? The Ishmaelites, right? So that's basically what it is. So it's the people of what? Of Amalek. Alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword, because the Lord told him to go destroy all of the Amalekites. But he left the king alive. He left the cattle and all these other things alive. He spared the king. If you read down into 9, it talks about how he spared Agag, right? For a moment, and and the oxen and all the different things, and so thus forth. This tells you that what this generation continued. The King Agag, which goes into the Agagites, right? The people of Genesis 36 and 8, and thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom, and these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites, which means the people of the Edomites, people of the Edomites in Mount Seir, right? Right. It says, Genesis 36 and 16, Duke Korah, Duke Gatam, and Duke Amalek, right? Which goes into the Amalekites. Amalekites, the people of. So Agag was the king of what? The Amalekites, which is Amalek, which goes into what? Esau, right? These are the dukes that came of Eliphaz in the land of Edom. These are the sons of Adah, right? Chapter 3, verse 10, and the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite. So you got to remember that these the Agagites, the Jews' enemy, right? They're enemy to the Jews, right? And to the Israelites. And this. Hey, peep this out. This is when all 12 tribes were still there, and they still call all 12 tribes Jews. So that's nothing new, right? And you got to look at the Agagite, right? In fact, the Agagite. This is additional to Esther. It says, after these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, right? Going back to that same thing. Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the what? Agagite. Which the Agagites are what? Related to what? The Amalekites, which goes back to what? Amalek, which are what? Esau, Edom, right? Right? To get to the point, you know what I mean? Right? And advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him, right? So this is remember we read the part where the king gave Hammedatha his ring, and that ring symbolized that he was above all the princes going into that thing, which still letting you know that what he is an Edomite. He goes back to what? Amalek. Chapter 16, verse 10, and Ammon, which is basically Haman, they try to change it up. A Macedonian, the son of Hammedatha, right? It's really Hammedatha because they try to put Amminadab, right? But it's Hammedatha, like it said in Esther before earlier, being indeed a stranger from the Persian blood, right? Because it wasn't part of the Persian, which right? Because he's the one. The Persian king is the one who gave him that ring, but he was a stranger to them. But he got given the ring, and for this dissident from our goodness, right? Because they're not gonna, they don't or hate to any laws or any things that the Most High has. Chapter 16, verse 10. The additionals of Esther for a man, a Macedonian, which is Hamadada, which really, because they started a man, they try to change it up, and then it says the son of Hamanada, which is Amanada, which goes to Hamanada, right? Because we're trying to cover it up, and we see what they're doing, right? Because it goes back to the same guy who's a Agagite, right? Right? Who go back to Amalek, right? So that's the same guy, right? Being indeed a stranger from the Persian blood, right? Because he wasn't actually part of them, but the king did give him the ring to have him be like second in command to the Persian rule at that time. And far distant from our goodness, right? The law, statutes, commandments, and ultimately the blessing that they want, right? The covenant, the covenants, the laws, right? God the Father, Yahweh being our Father, Yahweh Shai being our Savior. They want that. They want the blessing. And as all the strangers received of us, right? Right, because he was in rule, so you had to bow down. You had to just receive that he was the second in command, right? And you know how Israel is. Israel loved the Edomites, man. They loved that the Edomites rule over them and shit. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian. So reading that other verse, that Aman, which really goes back to Haman, the Agagite, which goes back to the Amalekites, which goes back to Amalek. So we see through your so-called disguise. So really, that goes to that you must be revealed. That the son of perdition must be until they be revealed, right? We must go down until that wicked be revealed, and that's a clear way of revealing the wicked, because they even tried to basically, which is blaspheming the Holy Spirit. You took the scriptures and try to rewrite Hamatha as Aman, and then Hamatha as Amanatha, or however it, basically trying to change it. But we know that goes back to Amalek. The Macedonians are basically Edomites, which proved that Alexander was an Edomite, and the guy was mad about the Greek so-called alphabet people, right? And saying it's slander or this and that. Basically, let me go ahead and finish reading this. The Macedonian who came out of the land of Chittim and had smoked Darius, the king of Persia, right? Because that's who was ruling, and the Medes, and he reigned in his stead the first over Greece, because that was the Hamanatha, or Aman, or Hamad, right? Because they put Aman, but it was really Haman. That was his whole initial thing anyway, to overthrow him, right? It goes back to what was it? Is it yeah, Ecclesiastes, right? 12, right? I mean, anytime they do anything, the Edomite, they're even though if they're friends with you, their thought is to overthrow you. So that's basically what Haman or Ammon, right, which is the same person, was there to do, to overthrow them, right? So they can rule in his stead the first over Greece, right? Greece goes back to what? The Edomites. So do Rome, which we're in the second leg of Rome, which is America, NATO, and EU, right? Going into those, that thing, because that's why Australia basically still has the British flag, but they put a couple little stars, but it goes under, and that's why they're under so much great oppression over there, which is the exact same thing that's happening pretty much everywhere, especially like in Europe, right? They were the first ones to basically no guns and all this other type of thing, but America, you ain't gonna take the guns. That's why ultimately America is gonna get missiles shot on it. You know what I mean? Because the elites is finished with America, because they figured there ain't no way you could actually really tame American citizens to be slaves, good slaves, right? The son of perdition, or the man of wickedness, or son of perdition, basically the wicked is going to be destroyed, which basically the son of perdition, which means destruction, right? Because Esau is a child, right? He does everything opposite of what the Most High expecting a different result, right? So he's a madman. He's crazy, right? Because that's what insane means. Insane means to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. I mean, you were the Greco Empire. You basically did all these different things, and you failed. Then you were the Roman Empire. You did basically the same thing you did as the Greco Empire, as being Rome, and you failed. Now here you are as the Roman Greco Empire, second leg, on top of the world, and you're doing the exact same things and worse, right? Because it says, who oppresseth and exalts himself, because that's ultimately what you're doing now in this Greco-Roman Empire, the second leg of Rome, which is NATO, EU, and America, right? Going all over the globe, oppressing people and exalting himself above all that is called the power, which is Yahweh, or that is worshipped, right? And the Most High and His Son is worshipped, right? Right? Even when you deal with the Israelites, right? Because it said that we are gods, right? That shall die like mere men, or it says that what? We are the angels that left their first estate. Well, those angels are basically what? Gods. Smaller gods, right? Because we're made in the image of the Most High. So technically, when you go into these nations, these other nations, they're meant to worship us, which they kind of do now, but on the level of wickedness. These people are basically worshiping Michael Jordan. Your people are basically worshiping Tupac. You know what I mean? These people are basically worshiping Michael Jackson, right? Mike Tyson. These people basically, these people basically worship in a way, these rappers, all these different things that Jake does. First and foremost, man, they still worship. But then, who's above all that right now? That everybody's worshiping? What? That Greco-Roman Empire, that image of the beast, right? Dealing with their democracy, their lies, their wine, their philosophies. They're worshiping that, but you're by that you're saying that you calling yourself God, right? Right? So that he has so that he as God sitteth in the temple, right? Because you're in the land of Israel, right? And you're well, technically, I ain't gonna say you're not supposed to be there, because you're supposed to be there because of prophecy, right? Because it said the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled, right? We should be trodden down of the Gentiles until that time is fulfilled, right? Sit in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God, and that's ultimately what you're doing right now with this. You're raising the stakes, sort of mean, to basically take away all the so-called rights and implement your new world order via through digital tag. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. So the Lord spoke of these things that was coming upon the earth. And now ye know that withholdeth that he might be revealed in his time. And that time is now, man. That's the time. You're in the time that that you're being revealed, that Esau is being revealed. Esau, Edom, that man, that son of perdition, is to be revealed. Right? Perdition means destruction. And everywhere the Edomites went, there's been destruction. Everywhere this man, this son of perdition, let's make believe like we don't know who he is, like we don't know it ain't Esau, Edom, that it ain't the self-proclaimed so-called white man. But if we just pin the tail on the donkey, so to speak, if we do a thing on who's most likely to go to a place and grab the people, enslave them, conquer their land, and set up their own government in their land, and then look at you like it tells you in the scriptures how a woman will wipe her mouth as if she done no wrong. That's you. You're like that harlot. You're like that adulterous woman, right? Because you are the mother of harlots, right? Babylon the Great. You're wiping your mouth, right, as if you done no wrong. Now you're looking at what? Oh, that was so long ago. Yeah, we had you in slavery. Yeah, we beat you. Yeah, we knocked out your teeth to make sure you ate, to make sure you went into the field. And now, yeah, we didn't pay you, but that was a long time ago. Don't worry about that. Yeah, we went to Australia. Yeah, we conquered you, and we threw you off into like a reservation, onto like this marshland, in which they're saying that land is like, some of that land is like sinking. And then yet they still out there coming to with the global pandemic, trying to lock them down in that land where the land is actually sinking in the water. Man, it's basically turning back into the like a swamp. I mean, this is this guy, man. You know what I'm saying? So this is Isaiah chapter 29, verse 16. Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay, right? And your turning things upside down is what? Saying people are born a mo, right? And then in some cases people are born a mo, right? There was I forgot the name of the guy. It was a black guy. He was a scientist, and they asked him to do. I did a lesson a while back ago, but they asked him to do scientific studies. But they figured since he's a Jake, he wasn't gonna be able to come up with what was the matter. but he did, and that he found out that soil that they were using was basically creating homosexual nature, right? Creating homosexuality within frogs that he tested from their soil that they were using. So some people are being born gay because of what? Because of the foul bread or the foul soil that they created. So now that's esteemed as a potter's clay. Like, well, he was born that way. How can that up? That's God. What they an act of God? You know, everything Esau tries to get over on. You know what I mean? You have so-called insurance, and your insurance is supposed to cover things. You know, like Chris Rock said, it's supposed to be called. It should be called in case shit, right? In case things happen, or in case shit happens, you know, you got backup. You got something that's gonna. But you'll have so-called flood damage and this, that, and the third for your insurance, but because these people on purpose by the government release the dam, which end up flooding this area that used to be part of the dam area, you know, where like the wash, where that water initially came from. So it was really a wash area. So they will release the water, saying that they had to release the water, put it down in the thing, and you call and claim it, and then go, oh no, well, we don't cover that. That got released from the dam. We cover flood water that comes from the sky, and because the water didn't come from the sky, we can't cover it. Matter of fact, there was a guy that told me that he used to be my coworker. He was telling me that he tried to put a claim, and he said that they told him that they can't cover it because it was sideways rain, and if the rain didn't just come straight down, and because the rain went sideways, they can't cover his flooding. So these are these things that they do. They esteem it as the potter's clay, right? Like it's something natural, like it comes from a nature, or these are things. It's an act of God. So hey, there's nothing you can do. Even though I'm messing up the soil, I'm making GMO food, and now your kids are coming out being, you know, same, you know, the alphabet peoples, you know, the moles, right? So now it's esteemed as the potter's clay, right? For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not. So you're going to say the Lord didn't make you? You're going to say the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai didn't make you? Or shall the thing formed, right? Because you're formed, you were created, you were formed. Say of him, you know, the one who formed you, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, that formed it, he had no understanding. So you're going to say that you have more understanding than the Most High when he could tell you that what? You're mad that you're the Greek history, which goes into the Roman record history, which goes into American history, which the reason that the Lord is going to overthrow you as he did Sodom and Sodom, right? The 5 cities of Sodom. Isaiah chapter 3 verse 9, they show their countenance, they show their countenance, do witness against them, right? They declare their sin as Sodom, right? And ultimately what? America is known for what? Buck breaking, right? You're known for passing same-sex laws, saying a man can marry a man, a woman can marry a woman, and then you're basically put that philosophy throughout the world, and you got places all over the world. The brother mentioned another place. 'Cause, I mean, the main one I know is the Philippines, right? Not the Philippines. Yeah, the Philippines. The Philippines. They passed the same-sex law in the Philippines, right? And there was another one. A brother said that someone else declared that said that they could do it now. Some other country, some place that was never about that type of thing, but some of these other world countries are adopting that stuff, right? And it's like I said, it's been esteemed as the potter's clay because of Esau Edom is ruling on top of the world. You're on top of the world, and you're not a good steward, man. You're the worst steward that there is, right? And steward goes into landlord, right? You're really only just the landlord of the world, and you're not doing a good job, right? It says, yeah, it do, yeah, it do. They show their countenance doeth witness against them, and a witness is what? Someone who's pointing it out, telling on you. A witness, yes, I seen them. I was there at such and such time, and I seen it, and it's witness against you with the buck breaking. It's definitely bear witness against you that you did it yourself. Biden went in there and signed a bunch of laws. Obama signed a bunch of laws for the alphabet people, for the moles, right? You do bear show witness, and they declare their sin as Sodom, and that's sin, right? And do want to get mad. They hide it not, and see, you're not hiding it. But woe, which means destruction, weeping and gnashing of teeth unto their soul. Ooh, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves, right? And that's ultimately what you're gonna get. You're gonna get evil unto yourself, man. Right? Jude chapter 1 verse 7, even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities, plural, just like America, and all the cities of America, right? Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, given themselves over to what? Fornication. And going, ain't that America? They all get themselves to fornication. Man, if it's not spiritual fornication, like eating pork, that's spiritual fornication, right? Shaving your beard, that's spiritual fornication. A woman not wearing that will pertain to a man is actually spiritual fornication, technically, right? We understand a lot of our women ain't gonna wear dress like this, but technically, let's get technical. It is spiritual fornication. You know, but Lord willing, if you got a man of the Lord, you still will be saved. Lord willing, you know what I mean? So, I mean, right? And going after strange flesh are set forth for an example, suffering what? Vengeance. Wait, read that again. Are set forth. So the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities that was about them were for an example, are set for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Matter of fact, there's another one, right? The next one. Wait a minute. He says, likewise, also these filthy dreamers, right? And this whole thing is about the so-called American dream. So you could buck break, you could do this, you could do that, you could marry a man, you could do all these different things. A man can marry a man, a woman can marry a woman. You could do all these things, and you could have the so-called dream of the white picket fence and all these other things, which, by the way, goes back to the Palisades of them blocking in Israel during the 70 AD. Those are Palisades, right? And that, you know, that's part of their way of remembering that they put those Palisades to block Israel in, to starve them and to destroy them, and but the time of the Gentiles is having an end, man. The son of perdition is being revealed, right? Likewise, also these filthy dreamers, right? You American dreamers, right? Defile the flesh, despite what is it? Dominion, right? You don't want the government, right, of the Lord, the power of the Lord, the majesty of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai to rule over you. You want to dream the American dream where there is no God and you could do whatever you want to, right? And now you so-called got Jake on trial and spake evil of dignities. Yeah. Right? And that's what ultimately what you do. You speak evil of great things, of the perfection of a man being with a woman, and then a man can have multiple wives, but a wife cannot have multiple husbands, because that ends in what? Fornication. Right? This is 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 6. And turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Cities, plural, just like America. All the cities of America is going to be destroyed. Sodom and Egypt, Sodom in I keep calling it Sodom and Egypt because, well, this is Egypt, Sodom and Egypt too. But Sodom and Gomorrah, the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, into ashes, condemned, right? Judged, condemned, with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after, right? America's way after. Matter of fact, America is like the last actual so-called empire. And it's the last empire, but it's also like the last place of people like building anything. Most of these buildings that's here are new. You could probably go anywhere in the world besides, buildings maybe they just built recently. But even the old buildings, if you go to the oldest building in America, it's still relatively young to any other place on the planet. Right? It's relatively young. And so, as this thing being for an example, how much time did you need to know that this was an example of how not to live ungodly? Right? And made an example unto thee of those that after should live ungodly. Right? And this is for the elect. And delivered, right? This is for the elect. And delivered just Lot. Right? Right? Hey, and that's like if you think about it, that's actually twofold. Because when you listen to it, because it's just saying that he's justice, and it's talking about Lot. But if you listen to actually how it sounds, and deliver just Lot, and then the Lord said what? The men are what? The lot of his inheritance, right? So, you know what I'm saying? So man, hey, the Lord is cold with it, man. Vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked, right? And ultimately, that's what's going to happen to America. And what you're now revealed, we know that you're actually Esau, Edom. We know that you're the Agagites. We know that you're the Amalekites, right? We know that you're the Macedonians, right? So, call Loyum, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rakal Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who were well. Salutations to the Akim in the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect. The elect, Shalom. To you Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but your bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold, Shalom. To you sisters, to you Akwathium, who listen and learn under your husband in silence and meekness, Shalom, and death to America.